Joining me tonight, an actual doctor and a real-life U.S. Senator. It's Louisiana Republican Senator, physician, Senate Health expert, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee member. I added a word. It's Bill Cassidy because he deserves it. Thank you much for being here.
Hey, Kennedy, thank you for having me.
So I want you to give me your honest threat assessment because Nancy Messonnier from CDC says it's not if, it's when, and the president is saying we're not in bad shape, just wash your hands. So what is the truth here, sir?
Well, the president said a little bit more than that, in fairness, but there is a reported case in California tonight of someone who's not had contact with someone from China.
And 83 people are quarantined on Long Island here in New York.
Well, this is a community-acquired case, if you will. It's like brand new. And so that would show that if that's true, and it's been confirmed by CDC, that it actually has emerged into our community. Now, CDC is going to swoop down, find out who the person had contact with, and attempt to put a ring of quarantine around these folks. But at some point, most likely, it's going to more broadly spread in our society. What we hope is that we postpone that until we've improved our ability to diagnose, our ability to treat, and understand more about the best way to support someone through the illness. That's what we're shooting for.
And it's a fascinating process because normally, as we heard from Dr. Fauci from NIH, the process for coding the actual virus and getting some sort of treatment on the market is a very lengthy one. But instead of a matter of years, we're talking a matter of months. Is that problematic, or is this a massive turn in the course of human events that could see diseases like this treated much more rapidly?
Science has progressed so rapidly. We now have the ability to look at the genes of a virus, to snip out a little bit of the gene, and to hopefully make a vaccine. The Chinese are doing their best. We're cooperating. We are learning from what the Chinese are doing. And they're taking some of these medicines and applying them to see which works and in which setting does it work. So as we cooperate internationally, that benefits us. We wish to hold it off as long as possible, and we'll take advantage of that which we learn from elsewhere.
The problem with China is they haven't necessarily been straightforward, and they have used sleight of hand, to put it mildly, in order to disseminate some of the critical information about the outbreak. They also did not allow the CDC into China. I understand we're learning from them, but these are the United States of America. And we certainly could teach them a lot more if we were allowed access. Don't you agree?
Well, I agree with that, but we are giving them access to the antiviral drugs that would be helpful. And they are publishing articles in the New England Journal of Medicine from which we're learning. And learning, for example, if you have no symptoms, are you capable of communicating the virus? Yes. If you have minimal symptoms, are you still shedding the virus? Yes. So we're learning from them, even despite their kind of initial, hey, they didn't handle it very well.
What is the best mechanism we have for fighting this?
Yeah, the best mechanism, if you haven't had your flu shot, get your flu shot, because that way, that just eliminates one whole aspect of if you don't feel well, why it is. Make sure you are careful, wiping hands, washing hands. When I get on a plane now, I just bring on these Lysol wipes, and I wipe down the counter to make sure if I sit there that it's now going to be clean.
Do you fly with a mask?
I don't fly with a mask. No, I don't. But I do wash my hands regularly, and I teach my children and I myself, if I sneeze into my arm. Just do what you're going to do to keep from infecting other people.
And that's, and that's what the president was talking about. And I really appreciate that, because that is common sense, and that is how these things are transmitted. What are the chances? We're talking a little bit about this. I tend to not err on the side of hysteria. I tend to believe that when the virus actually presents itself here, we do have the best physicians and technicians and researchers in the world. And if you're going to get a handle on something, you're going to get a handle on it here. But, Dion, our stage manager, asked, what happens if if New York City is quarantined?
So, Kennedy, your response is the best response. You just can't live your life in fear. But if it enters New York City, there's a risk stratification. If people are over 60 and they have underlying heart or lung disease, they're at greater risk. If you're a child, you probably don't have much risk at all. And then there's different risk in between. If you're sick, don't go to work. If you feel like you have the flu, don't suck it up and go in no matter what. Just stay at home. And so just do common sense stuff.
I agree completely, and I do think that this is happening at probably a good time economically, and that you have to take all of these things into view, whether it's the stock markets or the upcoming election. We are heading into a warmer season, and every health expert has said that the virus will naturally be tamped down. So I think that's good news for the president economically and possibly politically. But what about internationally? Do you think the Olympics will go forward in Tokyo?
Well, we'll have to see. The CDC gave a briefing to the Senate yesterday, and they said something about travel advisory. In 3 weeks, we will know a lot more than we do now about what travel advisory should be. So the case in Brazil, somebody visited northern Italy, came back on a plane, and now he's in Brazil, and it's carnival season. He flew on a big jet, and so we're going to see what happened to those other folks on the jet, and we're going to see all the contacts he had.
Yeah, you also had a flight attendant who worked for a South Korean airline who flew through LAX, and people are worried about that. We don't know. We can't contain everything, but we will keep an eye on that 3-week timeline. Thank you very much for your time and expertise.
Thank you.